Left-wing virtue spiral continues without apparent end. Remember sanctuary cities? Those are not enough any longer. Oakland, California's City Council just passed a resolution calling on employers to become what they're calling sanctuary workplaces, places that refuse to report potential immigration violators. Keep in mind, though, that it's illegal for companies to knowingly employ people here who are without documentation, who are illegal. So is Oakland calling for collective defiance of federal law? It seems that way. Dan Kalb is an Oakland City Councilman. He voted for the resolution, and he joins us tonight. Dan, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you, Tucker, for having me. Dan Kalb, thank you so much.
So I want to lead with something that just came across the wires, and I'm not even sure what to make of it, but this comes from the Senate leader in your state, California, Kevin DeLeon from Los Angeles.
Kevin DeLeon, yes.
Yeah, president of the Senate. And he said this of the statement from the Attorney General about sanctuary cities, and I'm quoting, "It has become abundantly clear that Attorney General Sessions and the Trump administration are basing their law enforcement policies on principles of white supremacy, not American values." I don't even know how to respond to that. I don't know what to think of that. Let me ask you simply, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't know the context of that statement. I'm focusing on Oakland, although many cities in the Bay Area and throughout California feel the same way we do. We want to protect people who live here and work here and who are otherwise doing their day-to-day work, day-to-day job. And so when you mentioned the workplaces, we are requesting, not requiring, that workplaces call themselves or act in effect like a sanctuary workplace.
Okay, I understand. Wait, can I skip back? This is the leader of your party in the California State Senate. I just want to ask, do you think it's legitimate to describe your opponents on this question, people who think that we ought to enforce federal immigration law, as white supremacists?
Well, you know, there are a whole range of people throughout the country who believe certain things. Some of them certainly may be white supremacists. I have no way of knowing.
He's calling the Attorney General of the United States and the President of the United States white supremacists. This is not a fringe guy. This is the head Democrat in the California State Senate, the biggest state. So it's a significant statement. Yeah. It's not something we picked off the internet.
Yeah, I know Kevin. Yes, I know Kevin DeLeon. He's a good guy. He's trying to defend the people of our state and his district, and I support him in that effort. I'm not calling a name to anybody individually. There are people who are all over the country who have certain positions, and some of them certainly might be white supremacists.
Okay,
I think
but this kind of rhetoric
it
scares the hell out of people. It ends the conversation. It doesn't begin it. You can't have a rational conversation if people are throwing around terms like white supremacist, whatever that is. It's awful. I know that. So here's what I'm confused by. So if you're saying that employers ought to offer sanctuary to people who are working for them illegally, you're conceding that's okay, when of course it's a violation of federal law to work using fake papers, a fake Social Security number.
Yeah, we're not telling employers they should hire people who they're not allowed to hire. We're just saying that whoever is working in a place of employment, a private place of employment, that we want to make sure people who show up for their work day in and day out can do their job without the fear of being dragged out and being split up from their families. That helps nobody. It doesn't help employers, doesn't help employees, doesn't help our local economy. We're looking to make sure our economy thrives and that people who have jobs, whoever they are able to do their job without fear hanging over their head. Employees want that, employers want that, and our local economy needs that.
You know, not everybody wants that. So the Justice Department press release today came out addressing your city and cities like it, and said that officials like you, and I'm quoting now, seem more concerned with reassuring illegal immigrants than with warning MS-13 members that they were next. In other words, they're focused on protecting people here illegally and not stopping illegal aliens who are committing crimes here. Do you think that describes you?
No, it doesn't. It's not one or the other. There are such a small percentage of people who might be undocumented, who might be committing serious crimes. I mean, most people who commit crimes are not undocumented residents. They are people who have been here for a long time and here legally. We all know that. That's not up for debate. That's a reality.
But hold on.
And crime is a serious problem. No one's saying that crime isn't a serious problem in Oakland and every major city, and we want our police officers focused on responding to serious 911 calls, investigating violent crime, and reducing violent crime. And we don't want them distracted
I've heard the talking
with other
points,
things.
But you have right in front of you countervailing evidence, and it's this. ICE agents recently arrested 11 MS-13 members here illegally in the Bay Area. Now, by definition, they're part of a criminal cartel that murders people and sells children into prostitution. And they're here because nobody's enforcing the immigration laws.
Yeah,
were you sad that they were picked up by ICE?
No. No. If somebody is committing a violent crime and they're convicted of that crime, they should be dealt with harshly no matter who they are. And that has been the case not just in the current administration in D.C., but in the Obama administration as well. What I'm focusing on, well, besides my questions about housing and public safety overall, but in terms of making sure that people who are here, who are otherwise law-abiding people, are not the focus of our efforts. Our efforts need to be providing housing for people, building our local economy. If someone's committing a violent crime, no matter who they are, they should be dealt with harshly,
but the facts,
should be always the case.
The facts, which I'm not sure if you're aware of them, but a huge percentage of the California state prison population is here illegally. Now, I'm not arguing that illegal aliens are more likely to commit a crime than native-born Americans, but they do commit a lot of crimes. They do. In the aggregate, a lot of crimes. And MS-13 is a prime example, and yet they're not even mentioned on your website. So you got a whole public safety page on there, no mention of MS-13, and instead, you said, I'm quoting, you strongly support the creation of a comprehensive vegetative management plan to stop wildfires. Now, I think it sounds fine to me, but shouldn't you at least mention the fact that there's a real gang problem that's predicated on the presence of a lot of illegals?
I've talked with our police chief, our former police chief, numerous times, and Oakland, like many cities, have gang problems. Most of those gang problems are not regarding undocumented residents, and everybody knows that. Now, if there are examples, it absolutely is true. If there are examples, specific examples, instances, exceptions where a portion of some gang somewhere, or just an individual who is committing a violent crime and is convicted of that crime happens to be undocumented, then by all means they should be dealt with harshly just like anybody else. But the focus is that most people who are undocumented are not committing crimes other than jaywalking. And so, let's not exaggerate the reality of the situation.
That's a lie, as you know. And you just conceded it yourself. If you are here illegally and you are using a stolen Social Security number, and you are, if you're working, then you are committing a felony punishable by 5 to 10 years in prison. So, like, that's not, is that a small thing? Can I, by the way, can I use stolen identity?
Violent crimes.
Oh, so only violent crimes count?
We have serious and violent crimes in our city and many cities all over the country, probably the city you live in as well, I'm sure. And we have to focus our police force and our police efforts and our law enforcement efforts on responding to serious 911 calls, investigating murders or other serious and violent crimes, and doing the good community policing efforts. I think you would agree with that. I think we all agree with that.
So your police department in Oakland is famously rife with problems. I think you had 3 police chiefs in 8 days last year. Scandals, corruption. You're set to lose over $5 million in federal funding if you don't change these policies. Will that make Oakland safer?
We received no direct communication that any funding is at risk right now.
Well, the Attorney General just said it is.
Again, we received no direct communication. If that funding is at risk, we will deal with it accordingly. I know there are lawsuits underway to prevent that from happening. I don't know what's going to happen there. All I can tell you right now is we're focusing on housing issues, on law enforcement, on public safety, and on fire prevention in the hills as well.
I'm sorry, we're almost out of time. You said
many
that twice.
issues we want to focus on.
Housing issues. So people who are here illegally get free housing or subsidized housing in Oakland too?
No. I'm talking about a broader set of issues that we care about in Oakland.
But do people who are here illegally get subsidized housing, taxpayer subsidized housing in Oakland?
I'm not aware of that, but I can't say I have any. I know one way or the other.
Okay, good. I hope not. That'd be kind of crazy.
Not aware of that. I don't know.
Okay.
But housing overall is a big crunch here. Law enforcement, public safety. I mean, you know that. And so we're trying to make sure that. We're trying to make sure that people who have a job are able to do their job, and that employers are not. People don't get pulled out.
You said it. I'm sorry to cut you off,
families.
But I heard you, and I appreciate your coming on tonight. Thank you.